Welcome and welcome back to the Light Renegades. My name is Starr. Thank you so much for joining me today, everyone. Oh gosh, I feel like I have lots to share and there's been a lot rattling on in my brain, so I'm just going to let it flow and trusting that whatever comes out is supposed to be shared with you all. But the first thing that I wanted to share is that, you have to be very aware of where you are right now in your spaces and what you are consuming, because there is a lot of misinformation and misrepresentation of energies out there, and specifically now, because we are coming to a time that I've been speaking about for some time with galactic spaces, and this idea of like a new portal of energy and understanding is being filtered through to the collective. And this is something that's been brought to my attention for many weeks, and so many have been connected to this expression without realizing it. So I'm going to give you some signs and symbols to help you know if you've been connecting to this frequency. Rainbows, owls, white feathers, birds specifically of many kinds, squirrels. There is, glimmers and sparkles, that's also a sign. Nuts, seeds, acorns, that type of thing. Candles of any color, and understanding words that, or seeing words that you've never seen before. Whiteboards, a chessboard, chess pieces, the moon, different animals, hares, the stag, snails too specifically, and seeing galactic expressions, however that is being presented to you. And I want to say sweet foods and sweet treats as well, and different types of fruits. I'm seeing strawberries, I'm seeing cherries, ice cream, donuts, that type of thing. It feels like this has been an energy that has been stepping forward to the collective for some time. And also the chakra placements, meditation, yoga, all of those types of things. So if you've been extra drawn to these things of late, it's because you're bringing in this new vibration. Tai Chi, Qigong, all of these things, Tibetan bowls, what else am I hearing? Frequencies of aquatic description, whale sounds, orca sounds, dolphin sounds, bat sonar, planes specifically. I don't know what this is, but I'm seeing like lasers in the sky. I'm hearing castles in the sky. That song, that was a specific notion for me today as well. And seeing kind of like far off mystical spaces. You are anchoring in this new vibration, and I want to say Egyptian energy is there somewhere, but it's kind of at the background of this. That's with divine purpose too, and I can't bring or share any more of this. Fairies and the flowers, all of that stuff, that type of kingdom as well. Honey bears specifically, honey badgers, red pandas, that type of thing. Pandas, I could just keep going, and I keep seeing more different continents and countries as well as stepping forward. Africa, China, Australia, New Zealand. I'm hearing like the Commonwealth. I could keep going, but I'm going to stop that there because I feel like that's enough for people. Sports in particular as well. Tennis, basketball. Okay, that's enough for everyone. Cycling. I'm seeing bikes too. Water. Yeah, I think that's enough. Dragons too. That's also been a huge sign. And I want to say that there's not much more that I can share right now. I didn't know if I was going to be doing a galactic message today, but I felt like they were going to be coming through me and culminating in this space. So Galactic Alliance, the Galactic Federation, that was, for those that might be with us and might not have been with us in the real time up until this present given moment. We channel a fractal of the Galactic Federation of Light that once was called the GA, the Galactic Alliance. So that's who I'm referencing here. But this new vibration is very real, very true, and ready for us to receive, everyone. So please be mindful of where you are in your spaces and what you are consuming, and making sure that it is of a high vibration. And obviously, work within the balances of what you need to be working through at this time. Sometimes when we're dealing with shadow, we are consuming things of a darker nature, a darker essence, to help bring out more of that expression forward. So just be aware of that too. But I want to say specifically now, there is many shifts that has happened. I've gone through a lot of physical changes that has been happening in the most recent weeks, and you kind of forget that these things happen until they happen again. So Ascension Symptoms 101, absolutely, shattering headaches, a lot of pains in the third eye, joint pain, muscle pains. My skin has been going through a purging and turnover, My tummy system has been going through a different rate of capacity, and just feeling out of sorts. And today, specifically this morning, my body went through something that I think I've been waiting for the longest time. And I think it was a couple of weeks ago I shared over on Instagram that the collective energy has been shifting through this sacral space, and I think it's been to be able to bring forward this new frequency that's coming in. I say new, but it's ancient, but it's something that we are now trying to remember. And I felt like my sacral space had been given over to me and shifted in a way that I was receiving it through my heart space in a very different format. So if imagine like this is the front side of my body and this is the back side of my body, and it was like I'd shifted in on myself, and it was like I was sat ever deeper in the seat of my soul, and I was having to sit and face aspects of my sacral that has been really difficult to be in this lifetime, and forgiven spaces where I felt like my power had been taken from me in those real sacred spaces. So trigger warning, apologies everyone, I'll put this on the video as well, but it was like I was really having to forgive myself and others in that space, and understanding and coming to the real concrete understanding that no one can ever take anything from you because they are you. And it was like it came through as such a knowing presence and such a loving presence that it brought me to tears in a very different way. And I hope that everyone can hear this as I'm saying this, is that nothing can be taken from you because everyone is you. And I think once you start to truly feel that, and there are spaces within my life where I do know that, I do see that, but this seat of the sacral was something that was real difficult to sit with. And I realize what I represent here now, and I think that I'd forgotten this because I was supposed to forget, but I realize that I'm just a true representation of the world's shadow. I walk as a walking shadow, and that is what I've represented over here on the Light Renegade space too. We've been dealing with the darkest of timelines over here, and I think I wasn't in full awareness of that was what I was signing up for, but I now know it's been with divine purpose, and it's made so much sense to me where I've lived my life, how I've lived my life, and why it's all culminated to be in this present given moment. And I felt like I was releasing an energy within me of victimhood somewhere at the most space that I've had to hold the most compassion for within myself, and this understanding of whatever has happened to you this lifetime, it has happened not just to you but for you. And I think that when you get to those real sensitive spaces, we've worked with a lot of souls in this space that have done some real treacherous things this lifetime, and I had a layer of forgiveness and compassion for them, like I just didn't think that I was capable of this lifetime. But when it came to my own personal journey, I was still sat in victimhood somewhere because it was still very raw for me, because there were things that I just put a lid on for many years that I hadn't let come to the surface. And over the past week, I want to say over the past year, 2 years specifically, I've been letting all of these energies step forward. But not only that, I've been letting through this energy of the collective sacral space too. And this idea of the feminine rising, for some time I thought is not the feminine rising, that's an imbalanced energy of the feminine and the masculine, and I could see the perpetuating cycle within that. That's a deeper conversation, and something that I think I'm going to be speaking on for some time in other spaces, so do watch out for that. But this idea of the feminine rising is the feminine remembering, and just remembering how powerful we are and the ways that we've been trying to be squashed down for some time in this collective space. And I thought this is what I've been dealing with in the thread of the whole entirety of my life, that I just wasn't in full awareness of until I could take a step back. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's the bit that I've been missing. So I'm sharing this in the hope that this gives you some space to cradle yourself and those around you, and those that have perceived to be that have harmed you, to see that we're all just trying to grow in our spaces, and sometimes one takes the brunt of that weight and vice versa, and it flips and changes, and no one is specifically in the wrong. And this goes on a collective scale too, which is why I think we've been holding this seat of compassion and forgiveness for those souls that have been in the darkest spaces and timelines, that have been anchoring in these real dark timelines, because they've been a pawn in this play too. But also light and shadow has to exist, everyone. And I feel like I'm reaching the aspects of understanding that everything has just been, and we have to just accept it all. So I hope that this is helpful for some. I hope that you can pick up what I'm putting down, and please hold yourself in a space of real deep healing. And if you need support in your spaces, please do go and find that in the ways that is going to be most helpful for you. But we are in times now where we have to heal it all, everyone, so that we can all set ourselves free. And this is something that I've been doing for some time, is working with this collective energy of everything. And I thought that was my offering to this world, to be connected so deeply to the collective energy. And now I've taken a space of really wanting to step myself into a new arena of not taking so much weight on, because I feel like I've done my time, so to speak, and I feel like I was having to come to that decision myself. And a lot of karmic expression has come into this space too, and I think there was a lot that I've been having to deal with personally on a very public platform and space. So I think that I was tipping my own hat to me somewhere, because I've tried my best, but also knowing that my faults and my flaws and my everything was having to be shared. And I was in full awareness of this when I very first started to open up a platform. I thought, I'm not ready for this, and I was told that my journey and my story was going to be important for others to see and to be able to witness. And it's funny and it's interesting, because I felt so cool to put on this zippy sweatshirt, jumper, I can't even think of the word, I don't know what this is, fleece, there we go, this fleece today, because this was the first thing that I wore on camera way back when, maybe 2.5 years ago now, maybe a little bit more than that. And I had no idea what I was doing in this space. I just started to fully channel galactic understandings. It'd been some months, but I hadn't done it in a public space. So when you work from within self to, sharing to the public, you feel this shift in energy and this weight and this responsibility. And, I felt it, but I knew that I was supposed to be taking it on. And when I did this, and when I sat down to share in front of a camera for the first time, galactic energy, I just thought, what am I doing? What am I doing? How has this come to be? And my life erupted in so many ways behind the scenes from doing this space, and I still feel the weight of that somewhere. And I've had to just set all of that aside and say, I was doing what I felt in my heart to be my truth, and I've continued to do that. So I'm glad and I'm proud of me for doing that. No matter what has happened, I've tried my best in my spaces to hold space and hold weight for everyone, but everyone has made mistakes. I too have made mistakes, and I like to think I've held my hands up to those in the ways that I could. And there was no other way for me to do this other than to just keep showing up. So I have, even though it was painful, and even though I thought, why am I doing this? It felt like I was sharing the rawest parts of me at times. And I thought, I'm doing this for a reason. And now I see, and when I have people step forward and they say, you really helped me, I'm really appreciative of what you shared, because it helped me step forward in my space with that vulnerability too. I'm glad and I'm proud, and I'm so proud for everyone that has been in this space, whether you are, seemingly new here, whether you've been here for the longest time. Stepping forward and sharing in the space of the Light Renegades means that you are ready to face the depths of this world that others aren't, and that's not to take away from them, but this is to also show you and appreciate and celebrate your strength. And I think for the longest time I haven't been celebrating myself, because I'm quite a perfectionist. I feel like I've just been wanting to go, reach the peaks, reach the heights, and I had to take a step back and to look around and think, okay, everything didn't perhaps look the way that I thought that it was going to, or it should. All of us Light Renegades in that space, things happen behind the scenes that was difficult for us all to sit with, and there was growth for us, and as all are there in that space too. So this space has just been a full space of growth, everyone. And I'm grateful for you all witnessing and holding me in this space, because we wouldn't have been able to do it without each other, and I wouldn't have been able to do it without you all of us Light Renegades wouldn't have been able to create this space without each other, to share it then with you, and for you to share with us, for us to keep going in our respective spaces, in our personal spaces, and the collateral outside of that. So we've all been taking on a layer of karma together that we've been working through, that is of the highest and the lowest vibration. So I commend you in your spaces, because I know that your life perhaps doesn't look exactly like mine, but you've been going through a lot too. So I want to say that forgive yourself, forgive others around you, and I hope that you sink into this space of this deep understanding, this deep forgiveness, this deep surrender of the sacral, which is allowing for us to create these new fragments of realities together, and specifically your reality. And I want to share in the description a channeling that I did, I think a few weeks ago, from the Galactic Alliance specifically, and talking about you having to make decisions and where you want your life to go. And I think when that step forward, some went into a state of panic. And I want to say, please, don't fear this next chapter of your life, because it's here for you. And I think some just brushed it off and thought, no, that's not for me, nothing's going to change. And I want to say, hold your faith and hold your light, and know that you came here for a reason. And I think this is what I wanted to share specifically, is that if you've been with the Light Renegade space, you've been here to share your soul for a reason. It has not been unheard. It has not gone unnoticed. And I think, things haven't happened for me, including in this. I thought that lots of things were going to shift in my life, and in some ways they really truly have. And I have so much great gratitude for that. But some things just haven't shifted in my life. And I thought, oh gosh, like, am I making this? Did I make the right decision? And I've been sat there specifically in the past couple of weeks, thinking, did I do the right thing? Did I choose the right thing? Because everyone in my life, was telling me that I wasn't and I shouldn't, and they didn't understand it and they couldn't see it. And it was so difficult to keep standing and sitting in my truth. And, some things step forward to remind you of spaces that you've been in. And my son Neo stepped forward, and if you've been here for the longest time, you understand that story. And I didn't think I was going to get to see him again. I was told I would be able to see him, from bird's eye view. He is here, incarnating on earth at this time. But I got to see him and, hold him and be in a space of communicating with him. And I didn't think I was going to get that opportunity. And that came with such a remembrance of the everything. And I think at certain points in my life, in this specific chapter, I've closed it down because it was just too painful. And I thought, I can't close down the bits that are painful, because those are the bits that hold the greatest wealth. And he had a lot to share with me, and specifically about the plants, which I'm going to share. He is working in plant medicine. This lifetime, that was what he was studying back in the Pleiades, and he's now down here doing this work, incarnating, forgotten who he is, all of that type of stuff again. And I'm really proud of him, and I'm really grateful that he is a part of my life, has been a part of my life, and that all of this. And I wanted to share that in this new vibration of the energies, the plants have given and gifted to us, and being able to be gifted a lot more of their expression of nutrients to us and vibration to us. And for some time I've been working with the flowers at a real deep capacity, and I've done a couple of ceremonies, and there's a lot of information on my Instagram about the flowers and flower power specifically, because they hold a lot of information of the previous times, and they are part of the soil of the ancient times, and everything that is growing in the soil is a part of that. And I was told that we can gain so much more from our herbs and our plants and our nutrients now than we ever could, because we've raised the vibration. So the galactics and other such energies are pouring more in, more is coming from inner earth, more is being poured from the soil, because we've been cleansing the land. And specifically, some conversations have happened in the most recent weeks, and specifically days, about the land and where you're from, and the energy that land holds. And I feel like that's been at the back of my mind for some time. And being in England, I went to a separate space. I went to go and visit Shauna or Francis, as some of you might have known. And I came back that was in November last year, and I came back to the soil of England, and my gosh, did I feel it. One day I was stood out in the park, and it was just like there was just blood everywhere, and I was told, this is the soil that you walk on. There has been so much bloodshed where you are, and this is why you were here, to help transmute that energy. So I want to say, wherever you are working with the land at such a deep capacity. Mother Gaia is appreciating you, inner earth, and all of those beings are really appreciating you, and they are ever stepping forward to be helping us, and specifically the elementals. This has been going on for some time, everyone. So please be aware of what you have around you and the energies that you have around you. And if you've been afraid to step forward and to receive more, now is that time. And if you've stepped forward before and you think, I didn't receive things in the way that I wanted to, I promise you, everything is shifting to be able to allow for you to be able to experience that which you have been wanting to. And of course, everything has to come in divine right timing. But I was told that this massive shift has happened. So there is now more for us to be able to receive. And that can look however you want it to look. So please do take that time to consider and reconsider your life and make those decisions now. Now is the time. There is no more time to wait. There is a leeway within this space, but now is the time to have those deep and hard conversations with yourself with how you want your life to look, because you can shift it all, is what I'm going to say, and we are going to do it together. What else, everyone? Dream times too. Dreams are specifically relevant right now. There is going to be a lot that you are bringing forward from your dream times into your present given time, and specifically those that are still working through a lot of shadow and the subconscious. Dreams are totally here for that when it's too much to be doing that in the waking space. It took me some time to figure that out. But also make sure that you are protecting your space, and specifically when you go to bed, do protection however you feel that looks to you, because there is a lot that can happen in portal spaces and dream times that I feel like I fell not victim to, but that's the only word I can think of now. The lessons were learned for me in those spaces, so you have to be very aware of what's coming through in your dream time, and making sure that you are disconnecting from dreamtime energy when you wake up as well, everyone. I have a selenite wand that I have by the side of my bed that I waft over me after I've come out of dream time, and sometimes throughout the day, cleansing with smudge sticks, all of that stuff, just to separate the energies. And specifically when you're working with a lot of energy in different realms and spaces, and this is a reminder to my practitioners there as well, you know, sometimes we forget to disconnect from others' energy when we're moving from one space to another, and specifically the different vibrations of the energies of the entities too. And you know, I don't know whether everyone else feels into the same vibrations as me, but the galactic and angelic energy is one and the same, but also very different vibration. And I think this is ever going to increase, because I think souls are deciding where they are wanting to go and what they are wanting to experience this lifetime. And I was given the acknowledgements of a video very late at night a couple of nights ago, and this idea of the reality and the frequency that we use and then is portrayed out to us and projected to us in the different fragments of that, and our decisions with what we want to be able to receive. And as I've said before, you know, I think it is all just a vibration that is given to us, and then we receive it in the ways that we are supposed to. And I've been given, you know, the choice of how I want beings to step towards me, not all of them but some, because it's what's going to be most palatable to us. And when I very first started to awaken and tap into spirit, you know, I did a mediumship course, and we worked with animals first, because that was a thing that was going to be giving us the most amount of ease, you know, this animal frequency. But it was actually my two pleading guides that stepped forward. It was my son Neo and his guardian Tahoe, but they came forward in terms of animals for me in that moment. And then, you know, my whole life erupted in a whole different trajectory and a different vibration after that moment in time, and I was ready for those spaces, everyone. So I've been doing a massive retrospective, all of this pathway of the Light Renegade space in my life of awakening. And you know, I think that some people genuinely wouldn't believe half of the things that I've experienced, and I think a lot of people do think that I'm just absolutely bark raving mad. And you know, I have to hold up my hands to say, like, yeah, I understand that. You know, if you've not been connecting to these realms, I just sound absolutely like I've lost my mind, and at some points I found that upsetting and infuriating. But when I've sat back now, I think, yeah, I get it. Of course, like, if you don't know these realms, then it's foreign to you, and you know, we push away that which we don't consider to be, you know, normal or natural. And you know, there's a lot of fear within this space that I've had to work through, but I think somewhere at the back of my heart and in my soul, I've always just known that this has been my pathway, and that's what I've been having to anchor in. And you know, there's been guilt in times of having to push forward when others couldn't see the vision or, you know, hold that space. And you know, there's a lot that a soul has to go through in terms of really trusting yourself, because every inch of this world is stacked against you to not trust you. So I want to say specifically now, work at intuition, work at getting to know yourself, remember yourself is your soul's expression, but also get to know the new you, because so many, you're going through shifts right now that is going to change your everything, your reality, your perspective, you. And something stepped forward in the most recent days, and this idea of pain to power was something that I was in a paradigm of for a long time. I think I had to be there, but I wanted to step out of that energy. And this notion was brought through a client and a real dear friend of mine. And you know, this perspective shift for them was pain into perspective. And I was like, that's the shift that I've been trying to put words to for some time. It wasn't pain to power anymore, it's pain to a perspective shift, and how you can reframe this pain to be for your best capacity. And I wanted to share about today. This is going to be the final thing, everyone. Sorry, there's a lot coming through. With regards to the 14th day, and I was shown an Instagram video about the calendars and this being a liminal space of today. And I very much feel it, everyone. And what I was seeing when I watched this video was that there was a space that I've been going to for some time that just feels like a grid of energy. And I wasn't told what it was. I had no idea what it was, but I could just see different fragments of things moving through this grid. And what I think that I've been experiencing in that space is the grid of the natural reality of energy. And we are all connected to this, and it's through our own vibration and the breaking down of that you know, everything else happens in our lives, which is why it's so important to know your truth, hold your truth. And that's why it's been so difficult, because energies are trying to manipulate your truth away from you, and no one is wrong. And it's been taking me a long time to understand this, to work through these energies, because you know, some spaces I was really having to work with this fighting battle between the light and the dark. That was very much what I was having to do there. But now I've shifted in the space to hold a different vibration and a different understanding, because we worked through a lot there. We were closing down a lot that we were supposed to do over here, and this idea of, you know, everyone's truth being their truth and that being okay, and there doesn't need to be, you know, a battle between that understanding. And I feel like this is where the separation is happening between souls, because everyone is going towards their truth, and they're going to meet other souls that hold their truth, because now we are in those important times that everyone is going to their respective spaces that they can have the reality that they wish to experience from this moment forward, whether, you know, this is going to be lifetimes to come. I'm not privy to that information, but you know, this is us deciding now so that we can be in the vibrations of the things that we want to experience in this present given time. And you know, those decisions has to be okay across the board. Is there anything else? Making sure that you're making time to meditate, aligning the chakra system, whether you're privy to that knowledge or not. Please do some research in that. I'm a Reiki master practitioner. It's so much more that I do in that space, but you know, for the purposes of insurance, I'm a Reiki practitioner, Reiki master. So if you would like to connect in that capacity, I'm here for that. But make sure that you are giving yourself and your body the nourishment that it needs, but also treating yourself and going out and having fun, because we deserve that too, everyone. I think that this might be a challenging thing for many of this collective, is not allowing for an easier space of light to be coming in for you, and an easier pace of life as well to be coming in for you, especially if you've had, you know, lifetimes that are very similar to mine. And it's understanding. I think that I've been fighting the light and the peace for some time, and somewhere I've skipped a step, and now I've been fighting for my peace, which is interesting. So you know, I'm following the flow and following the narrative of everything just is, and you know, that's okay. And there's nothing more that I need to do other to listen to me, to have compassion for myself and others, and whatever is brought to my table, I'm going to pause before I react. That's been something I've been learning the hard way, and apologies to those souls that might have felt the brunt of that this lifetime. It's been something that I've been learning to sit better with. But I want to say that, you know, your life path is yours for a reason. Your truth is yours for a reason. So please, this is what was coming forward. Do not gaslight yourself out of your own truth, because not only you're doing yourself a disservice, but you're doing the entirety of this collective and this entirety of this world a disservice too. Do not let others manipulate you. Your truth is your truth, and that has to be, you know, your expression, and that is okay. You know, there can be differences of opinion. That is absolutely fine, but don't allow for someone to pull you out of your truth, because you know, that's damaging on so many levels. So don't do it for yourself too. If you've been fearful in your spaces, that's okay. Seek support. I'm totally here for that. But do not gaslight yourself out of your own existence. And specifically when you're dealing with, you know, the fragmented spaces of reality and beings and all of that type of stuff. It is a lot for the mental mind to go through. It's a lot for the physical vessel to go through. So give your body what it needs. And sometimes, you know, this is sweet treats and, you know, just not doing anything. And other times this is being real strict. You know, this is fasting. This is making sure that you are working out enough and getting out in nature enough, and, you know, doing all of the perceived right and prescribed things, but also, you know, treat yourself too. There has to be this fine balance and this fine weaving. But I think that best be all for today, everyone. Thank you so much for witnessing. Thank you for being here in this Light Renegade space. All of us Light Renegades appreciate you to the ends of this earth, the worlds and beyond. You know, we hope that you feel our energy in this space, and how much gratitude that we have for each and every soul here that has been here, that might be joining, you know, in future times to come. We love you and we see you, dear souls, and that's exactly why we created this space. We wanted other souls to feel witness, to feel held, to have inspiration, to be able to create a space of community. So thank you for those that have been, you know, sharing in this space, that have been commenting over the years and the months and the weeks and the days, and, you know, every comment I've really tried to respond to, and I hope that you felt my heartfelt love for you, because I'm appreciative of every soul here. And, you know, even those cross watchers that I know are there too, you know, my heart is always with you. And, you know, I love everyone that is in this space, you know, whether you think that you are here for the highest divine light or not. You're part of this tapestry, and, you know, I welcome you, and thank you for witnessing, even if it is just to trigger you to, you know, have a little bit more of a different perspective in your space. And everything is just vibration, it's just energy, and I'm just accepting that which I feel in my heart to be my truth, and not shaming that which I don't feel is mine, but also allowing for my boundaries to be there too. So keep holding those boundaries. Do not get gaslit, do not get manipulated. And specifically, you know, in realm, space and time too, be careful when you're connecting with anything out of any realm, space and time. You know, that's really important, and I've definitely felt this and dealt with this the hardest way. So be mindful, and, you know, I'm here to reach out to too if you'd like support. I'm in those spaces too, in the energy there for you. But that's all for today, dear souls. Enjoy this day. I'm going to tag the videos in the description for this 14th day of liminal space. You can get a little bit more of an understanding of that, because I think the video and the information that this woman shares is enough, and I think that you're going to have your own perspective and take on that as well, everyone. But that's all from me today. Enjoy your spaces. Take care.